Programming on 90.7 WKGC and the Commodore Sports Network is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village in Panama City that features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and more. A community connected at the water's edge, Sweet Bay. More information about Sweet Bay online at sweetbayfl.com or 844-35-SWEET.
This is Coach's Corner.
Welcome, Commodore fans, to Coach's Corner, a production of Gulf Coast State College today. Coach Medford and I will talk about Lady Commodore basketball. Coach sitting in for Coach Scoville, trying to get her voice back and all from those big games and all that. So Coach and I will talk about it. Lady Commodores 20-2 overall. 8-1 in the panel conference, which is the most important part of that record.
Absolutely.
State coaches poll ranked number 1, NJCAA national poll ranked number 2. So, and has clinched a playoff berth in the state tournament.
Yeah, that our last game was really big. That was our focus, to get the win so that we'd guarantee us at least a spot in Ocala, and we'll be there now with the win. Now we'll just see how we can finish out the rest of the season, whether it'll be the 1 seed in the Panhandle or the 2 seed out of the Panhandle.
So, but before we talk about what's coming, let's talk about what we did. On February 7th, played Chipola and won 87-51. An impressive win, because the only blemish in the Lady Commodore's record, panel conference record, is to Chipola. So a nice comeback game in that second game.
Well, yeah, it was big. You know, we wanted to girls really wanted this one after them beating us at their place, and it came out, and this was our best defensive effort of the year. Came really focused, bared down on defense, and guarded them well, and that kind of set the tone from the beginning of that game.
And so when you talk about defensive effort, they scored 7 points in the first quarter. Anytime you can hold a team to single digits, that's tremendous defensive pressure, especially against a team that prides themselves so much on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, came out, set the tone on defense early. You know, we had Dee Dee playing, Janisha Green. They really got out, contained the ball handlers. They got to the basket a lot in the first game, their guards, and we did a much better job of keeping them out on the floor, going side to side, not letting them get to the rim and score. And
so now, Bennett, 23 points. Bennett pretty much puts up 20 a night, almost every night, so that's not surprising. Dunlap putting up 20 points is above her average.
Yeah, Jalea had a great game, and I mean, she had the opportunity to have 30 points. She missed several easy ones that, you know, she would have been over 30 points, but she played great, had several rebounds, finished around the basket, and we did a good job getting the high-low pass from Astu Gay. Did a good job getting it in there, and our guards, and Jalea finished and had a good night, 20 points.
And then Green comes off the bench with 24. Now, that's a breakout game for her.
Well, we've been waiting for this. This is just a matter of time. Janisha's been so good in practice and solid, and then when the game comes, she struggled a little bit, and finally it was that night she hit some shots. Her defense was outstanding. Got 24 points, got to the rim, hit jump shots, hit threes, did a little bit of everything for us that night. Stepped up, filled in big for Kiana not being
there. And these players are having to step up and make up those points that we lose by Jeter not being in that rotation or on the bench of ours.
Yeah, I mean, these people have got their opportunities. You know, Dee Dee, Janisha Green, some of them, and then Jalea Dunlap stepped up too and added to her total to make up some of the difference. And Astu Gay's been playing great as of recently, and she's filled some of those points too.
So everybody stepped in and stepping up. You know, Commodores turned the ball over 13 times. Chipola turned it over 20.
Yeah, that was, I mean, the defense, we're on the ball defense was much better than any game we played all season, and that led to the turnovers and forcing turnovers and them making mistakes.
And so, if we look at the numbers by the game, we were 11 of 13 from the free throw line, much better than the first outing against them for 84.6%. 8 of 17 from the three-point line, 47.1. 34 of 66, 51% from the floor. Much better shooting than the first outing against Chipola.
Yeah, and we did a great job. The ball moved very well, and we had a lot of different people that hit shots that really spread them out. Jalea scored inside that drew their guards in. They hit the shooters open threes, and it was just well-balanced attack. And, you know, when you're not focusing on 1 or 2 people trying to score, it's a lot harder to guard 5 people than 2.
So, and if we go back to January 20th, we were at Chipola, lost 64-60. We were 17 of 32 from the free throw line for 53.1%. We shoot anywhere near our free throw shooting average, we win that game.
Yeah, and that's been an emphasis every day in practice. We shoot free throws, and we keep reminding them of that. 15 missed free throws, just as a reminder every day. You better pay attention when you're shooting your free throws at the end of practice.
So we were 3 of 18 from the three-point line, 16.7%, compared to the last outing, 47%. Much better improvement from shooting the ball behind the arc.
Well, yeah, and you always shoot better at home. You know, home court's home court. You're there every day, and Chipola's always a tough place to play at, and their defense was great that first game, and we took a lot of tough shots, and you see the numbers.
And how much does those freestanding goals affect a shooter?
I mean, it's different, but that's why we tried it when we go on the road. We try to get in there early and get a lot of shots up so they can adjust to the difference in the background and the goal and everything.
And so, and like you said, we will play Chipola the last regular conference season game at their place. You can throw everything else out. It's just a war.
Oh, that's going to be a dogfight. Last game we've each won one. Hopefully at that point we've secured the panhandle and it doesn't have an effect on the standings, because it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fight, and going over there, they're going to be fired up trying to get us again so they can say they beat us 2 out of 3 times, because their season's over at this point in terms of moving on to the next round, so they're just going to go out and play.
So at this season there is no state tournament and no at-large bid even for the national tournament. So now, Saturday night, this sounds like an NBA score, 110-94. Lady Commodore set a school record 19 threes.
I mean, this game from the start of the game was up and down. We scored right out of the gate, had several three-pointers. Dee Astu hitting 3, Shayla Bennett from the beginning. And defensively, to start the game was much better. Once we got the lead expanded in the 20s, our defense, well, it went away. There was no defense. So.
Well, yeah, because, you scored 110 points, but Lady Commodores pride themselves on their defensive side of the ball, but Tallahassee scored 94 points in a losing effort.
Yeah, I mean, the school record was 96 for points given up. And we almost broke that record in a win.
So, 19 threes is a good record to break.
But no, that was great. Shayla had 6 threes. Astu, I think, had 6 threes. Dee came in, finally had her breakout game to speak, hit 4 threes for us that were big early in the game. And Janisha Green hit 3 more threes. It was just well balanced. It wasn't one person hitting them all, and everybody got in the act and hit some open shots.
And when you can spread the ball around like that, like you said, it's not 1 or 2 players that they're keying on now, because if you double down, somebody's open, and if you see that, threes are going to fall. Falling that night.
That comes back to Jalea Dunlap going back to scoring in the post, and Alexis Dye getting some baskets in there where they have to collapse in on her, and then our shooters are open. And we got some out of transition too, pushing the ball down the floor, breaking that press, and hitting some open shots.
Now, if we look at Bennett, 31 points for the night. That's even better than what she normally does.
Well, this was, I think, her 5th game over 30 points this year. She's leading the state in scoring. Just having a great season, hitting open shots. She's got a lot of confidence right now. She's getting to the rim some, hitting mid-range shots. Now the threes are falling. Her game all around is very well at this point.
It's playing well. Astu Gay, 22 points. 6 of 7 from the three-point line. She is starting to put back-to-back complete games together.
Yeah, after about the last, I think, 4 games, she's played great. Hit the threes falling now. She's got some confidence in that. And that, that helps the rest of our shooters. They got to expand out on her, and helps Jalea in the post as they can't double down as much. And it's helped our offense, and especially the last 2 games.
So, and then Dunlap with 22. Like you said, when the 3 balls falling, they can't double down. And if you got a one-on-one against Dunlap, it's a tough assignment.
Yeah, I like our chances if you can get Jalea in the post, on the block, on top of the circle there with the ball one-on-one. I like our chances of scoring.
So now, Dee 14 points, 4 or 5 from the three-point line. It's nice to see her find the long ball now.
And it's good. And she's kind of getting some more minutes. She's adjusting to the game. This has been a great opportunity for her to step in, and she just hit some big shots the other night. Maybe she'll get some confidence like Astu and Janisha have, and get rolling, because that'll be a big part of us going into the tournament, because she's going to have to play a lot of minutes for us.
So, and Green with 11 points, but she picked up fouls early, got limited minutes in this game because of foul trouble.
Yeah, Janisha got some silly fouls there that, took some of her minutes away, but she still played well when she was in there, was effective shooting the ball. I think she was 4 for 5, hit 3 threes.
Yeah, she was 3 of 3 from the three-point
Yeah, another solid night for Janisha.
So a good game. 89% from the free throw line, 73.1% from the three-point line. Now, how many times does a team do that in the season?
We couldn't line up in practice right now and shoot 26 shots, whatever it was, and make 19 of them. It was one of those nights.
So, and then, 61.7% from the floor. We turned the ball over 21 times, but Tallahassee can bring the heat too.
Well,
on the defense.
yeah, Tallahassee, especially there late in the second quarter and early in the second half, brought a lot of pressure and trapped us full court, and we made some turnovers then that hurt us, but it also got us some easy shots. So the press went both ways. It got them back into the game, so to speak, down to 20, within reason of trying to make a run for it, but then we were able to get some easy shots off the press.
Yeah, because you got behind it and easy buckets and scored out. Now, Lady Commodores consistently getting better and better, and all the players buying in. We had a lot of young, new players this year, but you can see them all buying in now and playing their roles.
Yeah, absolutely. Losing 10 players from last year's team, it's a whole new group. We missed Shayla at the beginning of the season, and now we're finally getting everybody gelling together. And rotation's getting tightened up with a new group with Janisha and Dee Dee in there now, and they're starting to get some confidence playing together on both ends of the floor.
So now let's switch gears because we're about out of time. We traveled to Northwest Florida Wednesday night. Sweeping any team in the Panhandle Conference is a tall order. Did that against Tallahassee. And we can do it Wednesday night, but we were playing at Northwest Florida State College.
Well, it's tough to beat a top 5 team in the country 3 times, let alone twice at their place. And, there's a lot on the line for this game for both teams. If we win, we clinch the number 1 seed out of the Panhandle in the conference championship, or at least a share of it. And if Northwest wins, then we're back to square even, and we'll see what happens for the last 2 games for us.
And it goes down, we have won 2 of the 3, so if it comes head to head, we, for seeding purposes, would get that number 1 seed, correct?
Yes. But like we talked about, we don't want to go to Chipola, and it's always tough to win. You don't have to win that game if it comes to it.
So we played them twice. First time at their place, 150-48, a nail biter right down to the end. The second time we played them here at Gulf Coast State College, Lady Commodores won 63-51. Won 3 of the 4 quarters and pulled out their second win against Northwest Florida State College. We had a power outage here, Commodore fans, and Coach Austin had to go back to practice, and we have power back on now, so we'll finish this recording, and then I will be right back after this spot with Coach Jay Powell to talk about how the men did and what's coming up next on the Commodore Sports Network.
Programming on 90.7 WKGC and the Commodore Sports Network is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village in Panama City that features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and more. A community connected at the water's edge, Sweet Bay. More information about Sweet Bay online at sweetbayfl.com or 844-35-SWEET. Welcome
back, Commodore fans, to the Coach's Corner. Coach Jay Powell and I is going to talk about the Commodores, what they did last week, what's coming up this week, and hopefully the power will stay on, Coach. We had a power interruption this morning, and we're kind of a little bit behind the curve now. So Commodores 15-11 overall and 1-8 in the Panhandle Conference. We played a couple games last week, Coach. We played Chipola here at Gulf Coast, and final score 89-65 as a result of that. Let's talk a little bit about that game, Coach.
Always when we play Chipola, it's a game that's big. We have some people that work here that went to Chipola, and then we have some people up there that have some Panama City ties, and of course everyone in Mariana comes to Panama City Beach when they have a long weekend or a week of vacation. And so the two communities are tightly knit here in Northwest Florida of Mariana and Panama City. So always fun to compete against those guys, and they just have such a great tradition and great history going back many, many years. And so they came to town, and we had a couple of pretty good days of preparation. Just, with the final score, you can tell just overall they were able to wear us down. Their size was very effective. I was very impressed with A-Lock, who is a TCU commit. For a post guy, he just moves well, and he just, anytime he got it, and it's not like he went for 30 points or anything, but he was just a dominant force down there. So, and Kennedy, their other post guys, was the dominating force in the first time we played them. So, anyway, they had a good game and did a good job. Our boys played hard and competed as long as we could, and then they were able to build that lead in the second half on us, though.
So Robertson with 22, McGregor with 13, and that was the only double-figure scoring we had. So,
give Will and Quadre too a little bit, even though Quadre didn't have great numbers in the Chipola game as far as offensively. They really shaded Quadre and tried to take him away. But Quadre too. But I want to give Will Robinson a lot of credit, and I think that we need to do that as coaches where credit is due. You can't really just make something up with young people and lie to them to try to make them feel good. Of course, you don't have to crush them either. But Will really deserves some credit for just how hard he's been playing, and we'll get to the Tallahassee game in a minute, but he's just been very consistent, hardworking, good attitude, coachable, and putting up good numbers for us. And I probably haven't, I do with recruiters when they call, but I probably on this show haven't put him out there as much as I should for the great things that Will's done for us. And so very proud of him and what he's accomplishing.
And Will Robertson is a sophomore, so he's played a year in the Panhandle Conference, and these are the kind of numbers you would expect out of somebody that's now going through the conference again for the second time. Yeah,
the experience does definitely have something to do with it. You're correct, but he is an elite player. He is a really good player. He would he would start at Pensacola. He would start at Tallahassee. He would probably start at Chipola, and he would be in the 6-man rotation at Northwest Florida. And Will is very good, and so the experience helps him this year because he had a few games where he maybe didn't play very hard on defense last year, and he knows that. And he and I can laugh about that now. I couldn't laugh about it at the time, but yeah, just a talented young man. And he and I have spoken extensively over the last week about how proud I am of him. He came here last year, did what he was supposed to do, made the grades he was supposed to make, stayed out of trouble, and so I had a pleasant experience with him, was able to bring him back for a second year, and he's kept working hard. He worked hard last summer and this fall. He's worked hard for us. He's not a very vocal young man, and so more of his leadership has to come from his effort and by example, as opposed to challenging other guys to play better or step up their game. But not everybody's going to be a very vocal leader, and he's just really blossomed and flourished the way that you would want a guy to. And I've been pointing out to him that I appreciate that, and that's what you want to happen as a coach. When a man comes in, stays out of trouble, works hard, does their schoolwork, competes every night for you, you kind of think, well, good things are going to happen for that young man. And sure enough, they are. He's being recruited by 15 or 20 Division I schools, and he's going to have options at a good mid-major level, maybe even a high major level, but for sure mid-major. So just excited for Will and wanted to take a couple minutes, and thank you for letting me do that, to emphasize him and just shine a light on Will.
And Will did and has played hard. We move over to Tallahassee. We played them Saturday, lost by 2 at the end. I mean, we had tied up and in amongst, we had a breakdown. They got behind our defense, scored the layup, and then we didn't have enough time to come back.
Yeah, it was frustrating. I was up all night with a loss, but in a weird way, I was happy that it was still hurting, if that makes sense. And I know that traditionally we would say, well, how could it not hurt to lose? It does always hurt to lose, but it really stung and it really hurt. As a coach, you go to the hindsight, man, I had a timeout. Maybe I could have called it. But with 5.8 seconds left, golly, if you call a timeout and they set up a play that beats you, then you feel like a total doofus. And as far as I know, doofus isn't a bad word. So you feel like a doofus for calling timeout where they can set up their play. And so I didn't. But I think I said this, I don't blame our guy, I know I said this to the newspaper writer, I don't blame our guys so much for that, and here's why. As soon as that ball went through the hoop, yes, they should have just been flying back, but it wasn't an uncontested layup, and it was a good over-the-top pass, and their man chased it down. But we were down by 2. We had to have 5 guys in the paint trying to get that rebound. You know, if I would have had a guy just standing back there watching when we're down 2 with 5 seconds left, boy, that would have hurt much more than getting beat long. It's like, how could you not be in there trying to tie the game to put it into overtime? And so those guys were in there battling, trying to get that rebound. Will just, man, he just kept going at it and kept going, and finally it fell for him. And then, boom, they got it out quick. And really, as soon as they grabbed the ball, as a coach, I can't call timeout anymore in college basketball anyway. And they threw it over the top. And we did chase him down. That was a great layup that man made to put them back ahead by 2. So another good effort. We've lowered the number of players we're playing for multiple reasons, and we stuck with some guys that are productive, as opposed to just giving guys minutes because they maybe have practiced hard or something like that. And that's paid off a little bit. But Q had a good game. He's shooting the ball better from the perimeter. I'm glad to see that because he's capable, and we've known he's capable all year long. Just some misfortune. He just missed a whole bunch of shots early, but these last 2 or 3 games, he started making perimeter shots. Will's being solid. It's just we still have trouble, even though our scoring was better, 79 points against TCC. We still just have trouble putting the ball in the hoop sometimes. And, if you look at some shooting statistics by perimeter players, that's just becoming more and more evident and becoming exaggerated even. But man, the competitiveness was there again Saturday night, and the guys played hard, and I was proud that we came back and made that play to tie it, and that it hurt so bad to lose.
And you talk about Quadre Smith. Herman and I love to talk about him. Plays with so much emotion. Plays hard, just goes in there. When he goes in there, it's like he's going to give you everything he's got, and he's got some emotion and some spark, and you can tell the game in every possession because a 2-point loss is a 1 possession. Mm-hmm. That's what really hurts a coach sometimes. Any 1 possession changes one way or the other, you win the ball game.
That's a great point. And I said something at halftime, and I said something to the men after the game. And and when you lose a close game, I've never really been one to kick guys while they're hurting. Now, lack of effort, yeah, you got to get on the rear ends. Just totally not remembering a play, you got to get on them. But at halftime, we ran a play, and with 11 seconds left, we started the play. Well, Will made the perfect read. In the normal course of a game, it was the right play. He popped out because they took away they went under the screen. So he popped out and caught it. Well, he caught it at the 3-point line, and there's still 7 seconds left. Well, he missed the 3. With 15 minutes to go in the game, perfect play, missed a shot, no big deal. But when you miss it with 6 seconds left, they got the rebound, came down, and were able to get fouled and score a couple points right before halftime. Or not get fouled, make a shot, and score right before halftime. Well, that's a couple points. And I told them, guys, we work on these situations. Usually we form it at the end of the game, not at halftime when we're ending practice. But it's the same thought. We were down a couple of points, and so worst case scenario, guys, we're going to go into halftime just down by those points. But if we make a shot at the buzzer, maybe we're tied or up 1. Instead, they extend the lead right before the half. And then the same thing, but just a little different, happened at the end of the game. We had the ball and called timeout. We ran a play, and there was, 12 seconds left maybe in the game. And we shot an 18-foot jumper that was contested. And so we ran the play. They did a good job. We were trying to get the ball to Q on the block. They took that away. They did a good job there. But that doesn't mean with that much time left, we have to just shoot an 18-foot contested jump shot, guys. And we talk about that in practice when we're going over situations. Unless it's at the buzzer, you never have to shoot a bad shot in a 1-possession game. But, Will just kept battling and battling, though, when we did end up tying the game still. So wish we would have finished those possessions a little bit better at the end of the half and the end of the game. But you know what? These are young men that are playing hard, and mistakes just happen.
It happens. So we'll jump forward a little bit. We go to Northwest Florida Wednesday night to play. Until Saturday, they were unbeaten. Number 1 ranked team in the country, number 1 ranked team in the state. Lost at Pensacola State 87-70, which was a shock for a lot of folks, I think. And now we got to go play them Wednesday night at their place after a loss, Coach.
Yeah, but we're gonna go fight and play. Now they're gonna be mad, some old wet hens. We know that. They're gonna try to, they're ranked number 1 in the nation for a reason and had a 24-game winning streak, I believe it was, going. But we're gonna go and we're gonna compete and we're gonna prepare and plan to win when we go over there. And we'll see how it goes. They're a great team. Pensacola did a great job watching that film online today. They did a great job, and Pensacola shot like 62% from the three-point line, wow. 84% from the free throw line, and just did a tremendous job, Pensacola did. And Coach Penna deserves some credit. We went over there with 6 players, and we were up with 3:31 left, and they found a way to beat us. And, at that point, their season, it looked like they were going to have a losing record for the season. And then it just kind of catapulted them. It just, boom, snowballed on them. Now they've beaten Tallahassee again. They've beaten Chipola. Now they've beaten Northwest Florida. And they're rolling, and they're in the mix. It's going to be them or Chipola that make it to the state tournament along with Northwest Florida. So just a lot of credit to Coach Penna and his team for just staying the course and continuing to fight. It's always fun to beat the Raiders because it doesn't happen for anyone very often. So lots of fun there, and we look forward to that game, and we look forward to Pensacola at home for sophomore night on Saturday. And
quickly, before we close out, Northwest Florida State College 8-1 in the conference, Chipola 5-3, Pensacola State 5-4, Tallahassee Community College 3-6. And so that's where it is. So you're right, Pensacola, Chipola, and Northwest are all still battling for those 2 slots. So for Coach Jay Powell, I'm James Baxley. Thanks for watching, Commodore fans, and we'll see you next time on the Commodore Sports Network.
This has been Coach's Corner with your host, James Baxley.